Hello, everybody. This is Bruce the Moose in Wisconsin with the Bruce the Moose Show. Today, we are doing a deep dive into the Owens v. Gillespie cases, the new indictments in Maricopa County versus Owens, criminal indictments that were released last week. There are 7 new felony indictments charged to Miss Owens, in addition to the original 7. The original 7 were related to the Owens v. Eckerd paternity case. The new 7 appear to be related to the Owens v. Gillespie, Greg Gillespie cases. So we're going to dig into those and look at them today. And then when we're done looking at the indictments, I'm going to show you some resources you can go to get more of a deep dive into the Gillespie case and things like, emails and court documents and text messages and all that jazz through the use of online timeline tools. And we'll go through all of those. The links will be in the description and you can check that out. But first, we're going to quickly go through the new 7. Well, I don't know how quickly, but we're going to go through the new 7 charges here from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. Now, guys, when the first 7 charges came out, I was shocked because I thought maybe they would charge her with a crime, like 1, 2, 3 indictments. We saw 7, and they weren't all just perjury, right? There were fraudulent schemes and artifices, forgery, a bunch of counts of perjury, tampering with physical evidence, and then now we have counts 8 through 14. So these appear to have been amended to the original 7 complaints. So I think this is a consolidated case. There will be, instead of 2 trials, there will be 1 trial here. We've seen in some cases, like when there's multiple crimes, Lori Vallow Daybell had to go to court in Idaho, and it had to go to court in Arizona, and had to go to court again in Arizona for different things. And of course, they didn't want all of those separate charges to sort of taint the jury in those cases or whatever. But I think when you have one pattern of behavior where the counts are so similar and potentially interrelated, I guess the strategy here will be to do it all in one go. So let's see what these things are. We have count 8. That's where we start with the new stuff. Perjury, a class 4 felony. Okay. Count 9, fraudulent schemes and artifices, a class 2 felony. So we've got another one of those. Now, okay, you're saying what's the difference between class 6, class 4, class 2? The higher the number, it's a lesser charge. So class 2, we see that happen here twice with count 1 and this new count 9. So that's the worst one. That has the worst penalties. That's the most severe crime. If you go down, class 4 is next. Class 6 would be next. But in general, these are all felonies. They're not misdemeanors. It's not like a speeding ticket or something. This is serious crime business, guys. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we've got the fraudulent schemes and artifices, taking the identity of another, a class 4 felony. Now, this one's new. This one didn't appear in the first 7, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Count 11, forgery. Okay, forgery. Count 12, theft by extortion. Accusation of a crime, a class 4 felony. Okay, so that's also a little bit new. Count 13, forgery. Count 14, taking the identity of another, a class 4 felony. So there's effectively this criminal identity theft that is showing up here that we're going to look at in more detail. So we've already looked in the past at counts 1 through 7. I just want to, what do I want to do? I just want to mention, let's look at these really quickly. Now, these were related to the Eckerd case, but there's some key things in here that I'm looking for. Okay, so the first one is the fraudulent schemes and artifices against Clayton Eckerd. In general, we've got the altering of a sonogram up here in count 2. In count 3, we have testifying in front of Judge Duty. That was the judge, again, for the Clayton's OOP hearing, as well as Greg Gillespie's OOP hearing. So we have a common judge here that she had not been intimate with anyone since March 2022. And we'll see that March 2022, her claim about what is going on in that time from the timeline. So that's important to tie in here. Okay. And then count 4, we have a false sworn statement, knowingly believing it to be false, did make a false sworn statement, claiming that a sonogram image was hers during sworn deposition. Okay. So now to me, what we've got here, we've got a bunch of stuff. We've got the March 1st, and then between June and July, we've got another sonogram altering here. So we've got multiple altered sonograms here. One of these, of course, being the sort of a Halloween costume sonogram. And we know from her lawyer, who admitted that that picture was actually her sister's. So that's interesting to me. And then count 5, Laura on or about March 1st. Okay, so this is made a false sworn statement to it. Video clip of father touching pregnant belly. And of course, we've seen this video before. And the key here is that our understanding is that in this video, the pregnant belly is allegedly her sister's. Okay, so she is using her sister's sonogram, and she is using a video of her sister with the father touching the belly in order to commit these alleged criminal indictments. Okay, so to me, I'm seeing a lot of things in these indictments related to her sister. And I know a lot of people think that if there's a conspirator that the prosecution is bringing up, that it's probably the mom, right? Because we've seen the mom talk to the police in the body cam footage and just tell these crazy stories about what's going on and give them candy bars or whatever. And a lot of people think that she could be a co-conspirator. I think it's possible, but what I'm not seeing is I'm not seeing a connection to Laura's mom in these indictments, okay? What I am seeing is a connection to Laura's sister in these indictments. So if I was a betting moose, right now, my money is maybe leaning a little bit more towards the sister being a conspirator than not. But I'm speculating. It's just based on what I'm seeing here in these documents. Okay, and then counts 6 and 7 are really things about her evidence, of her own evidence that she gave to the court in the June 10th hearing. And of course, all these things are about, did she commit a crime trying to, commit fraud directly to one of these men, Eckert or Owens? And then did she do something she shouldn't have done with the court in terms of submitting evidence to the court? So that's what we're seeing here. Now we can get on to the new items which were released last week. Okay. Oh my gosh, guys. Count 8. Laura Michelle Owens, on or about March 1st, 2024. And you can see, let's see. In regard to a material issue and believing it to be false, did make a false sworn statement, to wit, claim that Laura Owens did not send ultrasound to Greg Gillespie. Okay. So again, in the Eckert case, they were talking about things related to Greg. They were talking about things related to Mike. And she made a statement. I think it was, one of these things you submit pre-trial in a statement, affidavit type of thing. She said, no, I didn't send any ultrasounds to Greg Gillespie. And of course, we've heard the recorded phone call where they talk about this ultrasound that's on his phone. He went back and found it, reverse image search. Megan Fox and Dave Neal and the chat room found the Fiverr ultrasound during a live stream on that picture, if it's the same picture. I believe it is. So, and when we go through the timeline, keep this March 1st date in mind because we will see it in the timelines. Count 6. Laura Owens on or about June 10th. Okay, I gotta go to the next. Oh, okay, I'm a little out of order here, guys. It's probably the file name. Count 9. Let's go in order. Laura Owens on or between July 1st, 2021 and August 17th, 2022. So this is the beginning of the Gillespie relationship. towards near the end. Pursuant to scheme or artifice to defraud knowingly. Okay, so in the goal of scheming and defrauding, she knowingly did obtain a benefit from Gillespie by means of fraudulent pretenses, representation, promises, or material omissions. Promises. So there's a lot of bargaining you see in her communications with these men, like, oh, if you date me, if you sign the dating contract, I'll do X, Y, and Z. There's a lot of this bargaining, and so it may be that they have been able to map up some of that behavior with the criminal statutes here for this overriding count 9. And remember, this is class 2, so this is the big guy. Okay, count 10. Laura Owens, on or about August 6, 2021, knowingly did take, purchase, manufacture, record, possess, or use any personal identifying information or entity identifying information of this person here. I'll blur their name out. Without consent, with the intent to obtain or use the identity for any unlawful purpose or to cause loss to a person, or with the intent to obtain or continue employment in violation of the statutes, ARS, Arizona Revised Statutes. So effectively here, what's going on is this is a charge related to her taking somebody else's ultrasound and, taking it and using it in order to, without consent, right? With the intent, not just taking it without consent, but with the intent to obtain or use the identity for an unlawful purpose to cause a loss to a person, or with the intent to obtain or continue employment. So it may be possible that she tried to use this ultrasound, or maybe she impersonated this person even in order to try and get Greg Gillespie fired, for example. That could be what's going on here. And we will see, if they go to trial, all the details in greater detail. So we have to speculate for now, but we do know that this is a person related to one of these ultrasound images that she reused. Count 11, Laura Owens, on or about August 6, 2021, with intent to defraud, did offer or present to Greg Gillespie ultrasound image belonging to redacted person, a forged instrument, or one which contained false information in violation of ARS. Okay, so not only did she, take the ultrasound from someone, she modified it, and it's sort of like tampering with medical evidence almost in this one. So that is count 11. Okay, we have to go backwards to get to 12. 12, Laura Owens, on or between August 13th, 2021 and August 24th, 2021, knowingly obtained or sought to obtain property or services from Greg Gillespie by means of a threat to accuse him of a crime or bring criminal charges against him. Of course, she did bring charges, civil charges, I guess. She accused him of a crime or made a threat to accuse him of a crime. So I believe if you go back and read through their email exchanges around the time that Woodnick is coming on board, around the time they're talking about Joe Cotchett, she may have said, hey, if you don't do XYZ, I'm going to get you on all these crimes. That's what I recall from some of these emails. And so if we have Cotchett as a witness, he could be related to this count 12. Well, we will have to see. Count 13, Laura Owens, on or about August 15th, 2021, with intent to defraud, did offer or present to Greg Gillespie to it, note from, oh boy, a forged instrument or one which contained false information in violation of ARS 13. Okay, and Arizona Revised Statutes. And of course, this is redacted person is a person who worked at a medical facility. And I believe we have read through previously the note that Laura gave to Greg, presumably from this person. And this is a note, if you go watch, for example, Jack Fox on Never a Truer Word, he goes through that email and talks about why it doesn't make sense that it would have come from a medical professional, and why it's more likely that that was something forged by Laura herself, allegedly. We'll have to see if that's exactly what they're talking about here. I think it is, but go check out his video as well. Maybe I'll put that in the description as well, because that's a nice one to go through when we're talking about these new 7 indictments. Okay, count 14. Laura Owens, on or about August 15th, knowingly did take, purchase, manufacture, record, possess, or use any personal identifying information or entity identifying information of redacted person without consent with the intent to obtain or use the identity for any unlawful purpose or to cause loss to a person or with the intent to obtain or continue employment in violation of Arizona revised statutes. So again, this is just multiple related crimes to the same thing. So different charges, and this is where they can get creative, right? If they start to talk about a plea deal, they could say, look, we have you on counts 13 and 14, but if you plead to the lesser count, let's say the lesser count is 14, plead guilty to that, maybe we can cut a deal. So they're just saying, what all evidence do we have that we could really get past a grand jury, probably prosecute with a high conviction rate in an actual trial, and then put that all on the table and go from there. So I think we haven't seen any plea deal offers previously up to this point because we had the first 7 indictments and now we're adding another 7. I think they didn't want to entertain any kind of plea deals because the body of charges that they had on the table was not complete. So we'll have to see. I think once we start to see plea deal action in this case on the docket, that is maybe when we know that at least Arizona is done filing charges here, at least for the same consolidated case. Okay, this is amazing stuff, guys. Now, what I want to do next is really go through the Greg Gillespie timeline because I think his story kind of gets lost in between the Maricini case, which was very lengthy, and then the Eckerd case, which was very high profile. So it's important to go through those timelines and share those resources next. And that's what we'll do. All right. Thanks. All right. So for this part of the video, I wanted to do a deep dive recap of the Gillespie cases involving Laura Owens. And there's a lot of resources out there. And I know there's a lot of people that are new to the case and they want a quick recap or they want to understand where can they go to get more information. So we're going to go through some of those resources right now. We're going to start with justiceforclayton.com. Now, this is justiceforclayton.com, but all you can see here, there are links for the Mike Maricini case, the Greg Gillespie case, the Uber lawsuit, the Lone Cactus lawsuit. There's even stuff in here about her legal activity related to Dave Neal. So what we have here is the Greg Gillespie page, and we can quickly walk through the timeline, and then we'll see some of the other resources out there as well. And I'll put all these links in the description of the video. Okay, so now that we have gone through the new indictments, let's go back and, with that in mind, we're going to look at these timeline information and see what we can learn. So 2021, June, July, and June, Laura Owens, Greg Gillespie meet. They go on a few dates, not very many. Maybe they've met 3 times. Maybe they've had 2 dates. I mean, this is not very much, right? July 16th, Greg informs Laura sometime before this that he no longer wants to continue dating. Laura attends an appointment at One Medical. She takes a urine pregnancy test, which turns out positive, and then informs Gillespie via text 11 days after their encounter. 11 days. Where have we seen 11 days after their encounter before? In the Clayton Eckerd case. Okay, so that's interesting that she is allegedly pregnant. Right. August 6th, Laura texts a photo of an ultrasound to Greg depicting her alleged pregnancy with twins. After receiving the ultrasound from Laura, Greg runs it through a reverse Google image search, which reveals that it was identical to a sonogram found on a blog post from 2015. So Greg sleuthed out this photo of an ultrasound was not legit. So good for him. Greg then texts Laura a link to the blog along with 2 videos of Laura waiting outside Greg's house when he was sick with COVID. So they've only gone on like 2 dates. She's claiming she's pregnant after 11 days, sending him fake sonograms. The guy is sick with COVID or the flu or whatever, and she's coming to his house. This is crazy, guys. The 2 discussed the ultrasound and the blog over a phone call that Greg recorded. Of course, and you can listen to this phone call. It's very important. Go to this page, find this link, listen to this on your own time, use the headphones, and see what you think. August 11th, Laura files a civil lawsuit against Greg alleging abortion, coercion, domestic violence, an intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, to me, guys, abortion coercion, that's like not a thing. Like, you can't coerce someone into an abortion. Like, if they're convinced, I mean, if you can argue with them or you can try to convince them. And if they believe you and they're convinced and then they change their mind later, that's not coercion. That's just normal conversation among humans. Now, if Greg had done something like physically forced her to do something against her will, like swallow some pills somehow, I don't know how he would do that, but if he had, that would fall under criminal assault. And of course, has Laura filed criminal assault charges here? No. So, I don't know. This is very strange to me. I think this whole thing is... she doesn't keep it simple. She makes it overly complicated, and that's how you can figure out it doesn't make any sense, right? Eventually, when you're putting the whole thing together. August 12th, Greg files an order of protection against Laura. He alleges that Laura attempted to get him fired from his job in retaliation for breaking up with her. Fair. Let's see. August 13 to 24, Laura Owens sends Greg a variety of emails regarding his promises to date and the legal cases she planned to bring against him for not keeping his word. You can view those emails here. So that's very interesting. A lot of these emails, what I find interesting about these three cases is when you read through texts and emails that went back and forth between Laura and these men across all three cases, there are a lot of thematic parallels. There's a lot of speech, language, and behavioral parallels. And Laura likes to point out, oh, well, Clayton's the first paternity case I took to court, and I never took a paternity case to court before. But that is really nitpicking and cherry picking. She should go get one of those vans that has the arm on the back and the lift and everything. She can become a cherry picker because she's so good at cherry picking. But anyway, there's a lot of themes that are very in common across these cases, and that's why I think it's interesting to go over some of this. August 22nd, Laura forwards Greg an alleged email chain between attorney Joe Cotchett. And of course, we're wondering, will Joe Cotchett, he is listed as a witness in this case. The indictments don't mention him specifically, but will his testimony have any relation to the events that are in the indictments specifically? So that'll be interesting to see. And then this is an email urgent, a copy of conversation with Joe Cotchett and contract. The email also includes a contingency fee agreement to represent Laura in a legal proceeding. So that's interesting. It should be noted this agreement was not signed by Mr. Cotchett. So this is sort of like that thing Laura likes to do. She likes to go somewhere and tell them what's happening, and then they write it down and send her something like a receipt, and she uses that as evidence that something happened when it was just her reporting it herself. That's not independently verifiable evidence. She goes and she'll make an appointment, but then cancel it. So she'll walk right up to this line of legitimate evidence, legitimate actions that people would take in these circumstances, but then she doesn't go over that line. And you can see that happen over and over again here. August 23rd, Gillespie retains attorney Greg Woodnick to represent him in the case. All right. And then attorney Casey Bauman informs Laura via email that Greg has retained Woodnick Law Firm and states that all future communications from Laura to Greg should be directed to the firm. Bowman also asked Laura if she would agree to take a prenatal paternity test at ArcPoint Labs. Laura responds to Bowman saying she plans on filing a separate family court case. Oh, she was going to file, but then she didn't. Okay. Oh, boy. And would be willing to take a paternity test. Okay. Laura also states she has spoken informally with the attorney who plans to represent her in the current case about text messages she received from Greg the night before. So that's another thing. She takes this communication back and forth she has with these guys, cherry picks the things they say to her, and then spins it as if it's some sort of harassment or abuse or something like that, when it's just these guys are just trying to figure out what the heck is going on in the world, right? All right. Let's see. Laura ends her email with, quote, "He can contact me at this phone number if he rethinks his decision regarding a relationship and if he would like to be a part of pregnancy decisions going forward." Again, number one, sounds very familiar to the Owens v. Eckerd case. And number two, it's starting to sound very contractual. Like, hey, I will not go forward with this litigation if you do X, Y, and Z, right? This sort of bargaining that's going on here. And we'll see that over and over again. August 24th, Greg Woodnick receives a reply from Koch's firm stating they do not represent Laura Michelle Owens in the reference matter. Laura Michelle Owens contacts the Scottsdale PD, claiming that Greg is harassing her. And we've seen this in the Eckerd case as well, with phone call after phone call. Oh, there's cyber harassment. And it's just people saying, look, whatever happened. The paternity test says little to no fetal DNA. That's not cyber harassment. That's just going online and saying, this is what's happening. We're going to court tomorrow. We appreciate everybody's support. That's not harassment. That's just, people talking using their free speech on the internet. She includes a 77-page document of text messages between her and Greg. Oh boy. You can view that 77-page attachment here. And I think we've gone over this on Lauren Knighty, Court of Random Opinions channel previously. So if you're doing deep dives here into the Greg Gillespie case, now that the Eckerd case is effectively over, now that Mike's DVRO renewal has been dismissed, and the new indictments in the criminal case are centered around the Gillespie cases, a deep dive here is definitely recommended. August 27th, Greg Woodnick's paralegal emails Laura Owens, you should receive an email from ArcPoint Labs of Scottsdale later today setting your appointment for non-invasive prenatal paternity testing for next week. Oh boy. Okay, so Woodnick is on the job trying to get things done here. September 1st, Woodnick emails Laura stating that she should have received confirmation date from ArcPoint regarding the prenatal paternity testing, and it's her choice to participate in testing at this point. Very good. So time for the test. Oh, study up. I don't know. Is there any fetal DNA? We need to figure it out. What's the bell curve? I don't know. September 1st. Okay, so we got that. September 30th. So a month later, Joe Kochett replies to an email from Laura Owens saying, thank you for the note. It is an extraordinary story with Gillespie. I am glad to hear you are pursuing charges as the conduct is outrageous. If we can help in any way, please do not hesitate to call. And of course, the way we've read these emails before. I think we read them with Lauren. We read them over on the Ketchup Court channel and discussed them there as well. And a lot of these emails, they don't sound... The text is not it's too casual. It's not what you would expect from a professional communication exchange. And we'll see that over and over again, which makes me question how many of these emails are legitimate when they come from other people, but Laura Owens is like forwarding it around or sending it on. Are they legit? It's very sketchy. November 12th, Laura files a petition for an order of protection against Gillespie. Judge John Duty, oh my gosh, and this is Judge Duty. This is the guy who approved Laura's OOP against Clayton Eckerd later on. It's the same guy. I think he's a commissioner now. You can listen to that short hearing here or read the transcript here. Okay, so Laura is using these judges that aren't super tech savvy to get an OOP granted against Greg, to get an OOP granted against Clayton. And that seems to be what's happening here. We move on to 2022. So several months go by, the holidays. January 4th, Greg files his answer and counterclaim alleging fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress against Laura Owens. Okay, so when there's a claim, you make your counterclaim, or when there's a petition, you make your response. And so that's what Greg's doing here. January 6th, TEDx releases Laura Owens' talk on domestic violence and her relationship with Mike Maricini. Okay, so that's happening around the same time. So this is very interesting. So Laura is sort of weaponizing and productizing her TEDx talk and the events of her past relationship while this current one is in the middle of, devolving into lawfare chaos. March 4th, on August 1st, Laura alleged she was drugged and SA'd on this date. Okay, see Exhibit 4 here. August 1st, Laura emails Judge Backus accusing Greg Gillespie and his attorney, that'd be Greg Woodnick, of being involved in that March 4th assault. And of course, I don't know that there's any police report or medical evidence or anything related to this event. In 2022, we just have claims. So did something happen to her? Maybe. There's no evidence that Gillespie and Woodnick are in any way related to this event other than this strange email that she sends to the judge, and she's not supposed to send emails directly to the judge. It's ex parte communication. Laura alleged that the FBI was investigating the incident. Okay, well, this claim has not been independently verified. Exactly. So she's made these, and these are very serious claims, both about what happened to her and that Gillespie and Woodnick had anything to do with it. Both of those two things. They're very, very significant claims. And when you have non-mundane, significant claims, you need a lot of good evidence. Okay? It's not like saying, hey, I've got $3 in my wallet. And it's like, yeah, everybody can have $3 bills in their wallets. I'll just believe you. These are serious claims. They need serious evidence. All right. August 11th, a hearing is held. Oral arguments regarding defendant's motion to dismiss, motion for judgment of pleadings of plaintiff's abortion coercion claim filed February 15th, 2022. Plaintiff Laura Owens is present and represented by counsel Kyle O'Dwyer. Defendant Greg Gillespie is present and represented by Greg Woodnick and Marcus Reisinger. Marcus, of course, being the person who wrote all the appeal documents in the Owens v. Eckerd case during the appeals. The motion to continue is granted, continuing the hearing. Okay, August 17th, on Gillespie's motion to dismiss, that's held. The case was dismissed by Judge Gordon on October 12th. So my understanding is they just said, look, neither side has super great evidence here proving that we need to have a judgment against the other party, so we're just going to dismiss this whole thing. You both go your own way, take care of whatever problems you have yourself and get out of here. Now, on November 15th, Laura is able to renew her order of protection against Greg Gillespie for 2 more years. You can listen to that short hearing here or read the transcript here. And of course, we know she then renewed it again at the end of that 2 years. And so we are waiting to see if, just like in the Mike Maricini case, if there is a response to that, saying, hey, you need to go to court and prove that you need this order of protection renewal and you need to have it long term. So we wait for future activity there. 2023, November 9th, Laura submits the Gillespie Connection police report to Scottsdale PD. The Gillespie Connection. Oh boy. It sounds like a movie. Like you're over in, Italy or something. And I don't know. Anyway, there's a mystery, right? Trench coats and Peter Lorre and all that jazz. Okay, anyway, claiming that he is violating his protection order by posting things about Laura online, Detective Reedy concludes that none of the Reddit accounts can be traced back to Greg. It should also be noted that on page 15 of the Gillespie Connection, Laura Owens states that Greg is the one to post the Halloween costume picture to Reddit. Now, why is this important as we go back? Okay, so in the Gillespie Connection, she throws Greg under the bus saying, hey, there's this picture of an ultrasound and only Greg could have it. But then in the Eckerd case for the OOP, she claims only Clayton could have had that picture. And the reality is that picture was in a Dropbox that was linked on her Reddit comments, right? Since these accusations, the Reddit user that did in fact post it has come out to claim that they did. So neither Greg nor Clayton had this picture and made this Halloween costume picture meme and put it on Reddit. This was a totally different person. The other problem is that it's a contradiction. You can't say on one hand in one court case that Greg was the only one who could have this picture and then turn right around and say Clayton was the only one who could have this picture. This is just, I think the problem is she didn't realize that people would look at all of these cases in context together and find the contradictions like that. She thought that if people were only looking at one case, they would only listen to her story and just believe whatever she had to say about it. And that's not the way science works. That's not the way reason works. We have to have good reasoning and evidence, both locally and globally. Okay, let's see. They verified their identity. That's the person who made the meme to Megan Fox. That's very good. November 9th, on the same day, there was a hearing for the case. It was oral arguments on the plaintiff counter-defendant's motion for partial summary judgment of all defendants' counterclaims filed on July 26th and defendant counterclaimant's motion for summary judgment on July 26th. Okay, Laura Owens was not present and represented by Kyle O'Dwyer. That's another thing she seems to do here. I think it's like a power play. Like she will bring these actions, whether it's a abortion coercion or OOP, IAH, paternity, whatever. And then she doesn't want to be there. She just wants to send the lawyer to go get it done so that she can reap the benefits. She doesn't mind writing these things down and making these claims in writing, which is part of her downfall, right? Because a lot of the indictments are about things that were written down and put into the court record. And that's when you can get in trouble for things like perjury, is once those things are in the court record. So even though she doesn't like going and testifying in person, live, she still writes enough down that got her 14 criminal indictments. It's just wild stuff. Greg Gillespie was present and represented by counsel. Okay, very good. And then there's a link. You can go watch that hearing here. 2024, it is discovered during a live stream with journalists Dave Neal and Megan Fox that the ultrasound Laura Owens sent to Greg Gillespie back in 2021 to prove her twin pregnancy had a Fibra logo embedded in the background. So we remember Greg had received these photos, or this photo of this ultrasound. He reverse image searched it and found the source. Okay. And then years later, everybody's trying to hunt for clues related to the Owens v. Eckerd case. They're looking back at the Gillespie case and the Maricini cases. And because people were now investigating the ultrasound images and videos that she had sent to Clayton or Reality Steve or Dave Neal, they were also looking very carefully at this Greg Gillespie ultrasound image. And that's when they found this Fiverr logo embedded in the image. The ultrasound is also discovered to be from a Vanishing Twin blog from 2015. And the owner of the original ultrasound communicated with Greg Woodnick via email. And this is one of the people that is in the current set of indictments as a witness or victim or related party to the indictments. Their communication was submitted as evidence for Eckerd's trial on 6/10/2024. Okay, so that's interesting. And it's just, building this pattern of behavior. June 10th, Greg Gillespie was called to testify at Laura Owens' hearing against Clayton Eckerd, but time ran out before he was able to testify. And that's why, it's one of these things. We've been through the Mike Maricini case, and with some of the things we've seen from his forensically examined laptop, we've been able to understand Mike's story a little bit better. Mike did an interview with Megan Fox, which you can watch. We just had the dismissal of his DVRO renewal case for that was brought against him. He was a respondent there. Schnitzel Ninja is a big expert on all the details of the Mike Maricini case when we were going over it with Lauren on her channel. And on the Clayton Eckerd side, of course, Clayton was the bachelor. He had the most recent hearing, had all the Dave Neal coverage. Other content creators were covering the case. So sometimes I think Greg Gillespie here gets sort of stuck in the middle with the, he only went on 2 or 3 dates with this person and then had to go through all of this. So this is why I think this is an important deep dive. I don't make videos every day, but I think it's important to go through these details to see what we can learn here in anticipation of the criminal trial to come. All right. September 18th, Greg's partner, Ashley Ford, sets up a Give, Send, Go to help with legal fees. They're expecting Laura Owens to attempt to renew her protective order against him in November and are preparing to fight it. If you're able, you may donate to his fundraiser here. I think I have a video on that in the archives as well, so you can go back and check that out. December 6th, she did file the renewal of the OP against Greg. We saw that before. So he has some time from December 6th, 2024. He has a year or two to bring a counterclaim and say, hey, this needs to be heard in court. I just don't accept this on its face. We need to hear arguments and make sure this is the right thing to do. So he may have time to do that. Hopefully he does. But of course, these things are expensive and he may just want to move on with his life. We'll have to see what happens. He clearly had a huge amount of legal fees from all this other litigation and lawfare that happened between June of 2021 and December 6th, 2024. So he has been through the ringer, guys. That is the justforclayton.com wiki. Go check it out. It has a lot of great links there. The next thing I want to point out is the Padlet timeline. Okay, so this has the all the best research has created Padlet timelines here. I'll click it. You can see it. There's the overall Laura Owens cases. Okay, so there's Owens v. Eckerd, Owens v. Gillespie, Maricini, Contractor, Uber, and other things. There's blogs and posts and all that jazz, videos. And if you click on the Owens v. Gillespie case, that's this. And it's too much for me to, I'll be here all night. It's going to go dark, snow's going to fall down, icicles will form from my headphones, and it won't be good. So I can't go through this entire thing, but you can see that if you are looking for, hey, what happened on, August 16th, 2022, this is the way to find it, right? Between the wiki and this page and other resources, this is amazing because this is sort of a multimedia dynamic thing here where you can find things by date instead of like by a story or, just here's a pile of court documents in a folder. Well, that doesn't really visualize the story, but the timeline will. So this is really interesting. You can see all sorts of things that happen on particular days, like here's a text message exchange that came from somewhere, and you can read through it, and it'll tell you where it came from usually, and everything's actually categorized here. Yeah, you can see the source, Exhibit C from some court document. So you don't have to like page through 500 pages of a court PDF. You can just find the thing that happened on the day you're interested in right here. Check that out. And then, of course, victimsoflauraowens.com has sections for all of the things we've been talking about. Eckerd, Gillespie, Maricini, other victims, documents, coverage, blog, all that jazz. And I'm here on the Greg Gillespie page. And so there's Greg, I don't know, in wine country or something. That looks good. But it has a short story here. And of course, you can expand it and get another view of the timeline. If the Padlet, multimedia isn't your bag, if a wiki page isn't your bag, you can come here and there's bulleted items here that are easy to read. There's a documents section. So this separates out. It's not all interleaved, right? The documents are in their own list. The timeline is in its own list. So that's a good way to view it. And there's the overall story. Let's read through the overall story and then I'll get out of here and you guys can go enjoy the rest of Sunday and get ready for the week ahead, which I'm sure will be exciting and new. Come aboard. We're expecting you. Okay. Greg Gillespie and Laura Owens connected on Bumble. That's interesting. And met for drinks on 2 consecutive evenings, June 30th and July 1st, 2021. Okay. On the second meetup, they engaged in some, fun time activities while using 2 forms of birth control. Okay. The following evening, Laura attended a group dinner uninvited where Gillespie obtained some observed troubling behaviors. Okay. So when I was wondering, like, was it 2 dates or 3 dates? It's sort of like 2 dates and an uninvited third date. Oh boy. That's trouble, guys. Let's see. Greg observed troubling behavior. It was this evening Greg concluded he no longer wished to pursue a relationship with Laura. Yeah, maybe she came on too strong. He got the cold feet. He saw some red flags. That's how it goes sometimes, right? Approximately 2 weeks after their intimate encounter, Laura Owens informed Greg Gillespie she was pregnant with his child. Again, we saw on the other page, 11 days. Wild. A claim she subsequently revised to twins. Oh boy. Laura, and the reason we're talking about twins here all the time is it's hard to do a paternity test on twins. It's very difficult. And in fact, back, 2021, it might have been impossible. And so I think that's why she keeps harping on twins in all these cases. Laura Owens then proposed a dating contract stipulating that they enter into a committed romantic relationship. Another dating contract. See the pattern? There's the dating contract with Eckerd. There's a dating contract with Greg. It's just the same pattern over and over again. I mean, who wants to sign a dating contract? I mean, oh my gosh, you got to put it in your Outlook calendar and hook it up to Jira or something. Nobody wants to do that. Okay. Oh, I've got to open a bottle of wine. I've got a Jira ticket. That's no good. According to the terms, if Greg Gillespie agreed to an exclusive and intentional relationship with Laura Owens, he would have influence over the outcome of the pregnancy. And again, there's that bargaining we were talking about before, right? At the end of July, Laura Owens confirmed her pregnancy with an HCG urine test conducted at a medical facility. And here's the thing, we've talked about it before. HCG urine tests or HCG blood tests, these are indicators. They will tell you that you have HCG in your system, either in a binary fashion, right? Like the line turns blue or whatever, or you get a number quantitative blood draw, 104, 130,000, whatever it is. But these are indicators of pregnancy. They are not proof of pregnancy. This is like saying, well, I get all these headaches and we know I get headaches, therefore I must have a brain tumor. You might not. You might just have bad sinuses or something, or migraines. An indicator is not proof. You have to actually go root cause why the HCG is in your system. Is it because you're pregnant? It could be, or it could be something else. That's the way the logic works there, guys. However, Greg Gillespie soon discovered the ultrasound image had been stolen. Okay. And this is, Gillespie got the text containing the ultra. We saw that in the other timeline. So these stories are the same. This is just a different way of telling the story. The image had been stolen from a 2014 blog authored by a different woman and confronted Laura with this revelation. The situation quickly escalated, resulting in Laura filing a civil lawsuit against Greg on August 11th, accusing him of abortion coercion, domestic violence, and emotional distress. This is like a litany of lawfare. In April 2024, to do all this to someone you went on 2 dates with, this is just unbelievable. In April 2024, the stolen 2014 ultrasound was confirmed by the original owner as her own. Additionally, it was revealed Laura had hired a freelancer from Fiverr to alter the ultrasound, evidenced by the presence of a Fiverr logo displayed in the image. Yeah, very strange stuff. It almost makes you wonder if somebody knew she was up to no good and sort of stuck this Fiverr thing in there just so somebody could figure it out, or maybe they didn't get paid, or who knows. Greg Gillespie suspected Laura Owens of stalking and harassment, including Laura Owens reaching out to the HR department at his workplace. Again, the patterns. We heard the report that she had allegedly gone to New York to talk to Mike Maricini's employer in a similar fashion. So it's a similar playbook again. In response, Greg Gillespie sought an order of protection against her. However, after 3 unsuccessful attempts to serve the order, it was rendered ineffective. So she dodged service, hid out in the casita, I guess, and maybe her mom, locked the door and hid the chocolate bars. I'm not sure. In retaliation, Laura Owens secured an OOP against Greg Gillespie in November 2021. So it's like rules for me, but not for thee. He can't get an OOP against her, but she is allowed to get one against him. So, oh boy. From January to October 2022, the civil case against Greg continued, with Laura requesting $45,000 in damages. $45,000. And as we've seen this, there's a bankruptcy case petition that her parents have filed. Bankruptcy. I think there's a lot of things here where if we, by viewing the court documents, whether they are the criminal case, the civil cases, or the bankruptcy case, can follow the money, maybe the criminal prosecutors are also following the money here. Because if we remember in the Eckerd case, she said, I've got this $450,000 money market account. I can buy these houses. And then it's like we get to June 10th hearing and she's like, I don't have $450,000 in a money market account. And it's like, well, what did you do with it? Did you move it? Did it go away? Was it never real to begin with? So I think there's a lot of things here where maybe Laura was trying to find somebody who could maybe pay for the lifestyle she wanted, and in lieu of a relationship that would pay for things, it's lawfare to try and extract payment in that way as part of damages. And this is a repeated pattern. That's why they have links here on these websites for the landscaping contractor case and the Uber case, because it's another pattern of lawfare in terms of financial gain, not just romantic gain. So really here, there could be a lot of things going on. And it may be that she's starting out trying to obtain romantic gain, trying to find somebody that she can actually have a relationship with. But as soon as it goes south, it turns into this, what can we do in terms of financial damages? And it's a very interesting pattern. In August 2022, we have the ex parte communications with the judge. Okay, and we saw that before, saying that Greg Gillespie and Greg Woodnick were involved in that somehow. We don't know how. That they orchestrated it, right? Or coordinated it, or tried to set it in motion. There's not a lot of details there. I don't think she claimed that they did it, just that they were somehow involved and there was this FBI investigation. Cue the X-Files music. I don't know. There's no substantiation. There's no evidence. There's nothing verified here. It's all just strange claims. That civil case was dismissed in October 2022. In November 2022, Laura extended her fraudulent OOP against Gillespie for 2 more years. We saw that. This OP is up for renewal in November 2024, and we saw that was renewed. It is assumed Laura will attempt to have it renewed, and it was. Throughout 2023, Laura reported Greg Gillespie to the Scottsdale Police Department on multiple occasions, alleging that he had breached the order of protection through online activities. So yeah, as people were looking into the Eckerd case and trying to figure it out, like what's going on after that Sun article came out that she helped get published, she would sort of do this thing where she would say, oh, if somebody on Reddit or a wellness check or whatever it is, somebody on Instagram did something, someone in Discord, she just blames it on Greg. Like, oh, master hacker Greg must have done this. And it's like, you have to actually have evidence before you say that somebody did something. And even if they did that thing, like it's not illegal to go write a comment on Instagram or write a comment in Discord. They're not emailing you directly. They're not calling you on the phone directly. They're not going to your house. They're not finding you out on the street. They're not mailing things to you with the post office. There's no actual action being targeted against Miss Owens here. It's just people talking about the court cases, talking about the news articles on the internet, like the Sun tabloid article, talking about her replying to people on Reddit in the early days. So, it's not unwanted, unsolicited feedback, right? Nobody's trying to contact her. We're just trying to understand these cases and the new indictments that were recently released. Throughout 2023, we've got the police department reports alleging he had breached the order of protection through online activities. Yeah. So he doesn't want to have anything to do with her. He's not anywhere near her. He's just living his life, talking to his friends on Instagram or whatever. Or she's looking at things people have posted and she's assuming that those people are Greg or Mike or Clayton, or that they're conspiring against her in some way with zero evidence. And it just blows my mind. On December 6, 2024, Laura filed for another order of protection against Greg Gillespie. That's the one that got renewed. Greg has been in litigation with Laura for over 4 years and has spent approximately $300,000 in court fees. So this is amazing, the amount of money it takes. And a lot of times I've seen, with the newest press coverage on these cases, people will say, why is this story even a thing? You just ignore the person and they should go away, right? You just say, get out of my life, you're not pregnant, or you're not pregnant with my kid, or if you're pregnant, go get a paternity test and you're done, right? $50 and you're done. No, it doesn't work that way. She engages in this lawfare of bringing these different types of cases and protective orders and all of this so that you have to go get a lawyer to protect yourself. And then your lawyer, as they engage in responding to motions and filing motions and going to court and appearing on Zoom, those are huge bills that rack up. And we've seen that in each case with all of these people in this, I don't know what you call it, casosphere around Laura Owens. And that's where we are, guys. Okay, so these are the resources, right? Victimsoflauraowens.com, go there. Padlet, Padlet.com, Hay Bales, Owens v. Gillespie, go there. Allthebestresearch.com, that's how you get there. And then justforclayton.com/wiki, go there. I'll put all these links in the description of this video. We have gone over the Gillespie case timelines. We have gone over the new criminal indictments that came out last week against Ms. Owens that are related to the Gillespie case in Arizona. Hopefully that's useful. Hopefully some of these links are useful to new people trying to catch up on these cases. And otherwise, or it's just, sometimes these things are just, I do a premiere and people hang out in the chat room, and it's just like a place for people to hang out in the chat room and kick ideas around and have fun and, I don't know, enjoy, have a drink after dinner or whatever you're going to do. So hopefully it's been useful for that. It's Sunday evening. I am Bruce the Moose in Wisconsin. This is the Bruce the Moose Show. I will talk to y'all later. I'm trying to make a video for Tuesday. What would that be? 11/11? Ooh, 11/11. And we will see if I can get that done. So I'll return to you then. Same Moose time, same Moose channel. Well, maybe a different time. I don't know. Anyway, have a good one, guys, if you've stuck around this long. And take it easy.